Okay, so the company you work for just got sold. Am I getting that right? Your stock is being cashed out as a part of the deal, and you're looking at $5 million by way of a windfall? Well, first of all, congratulations. And second of all, we get it. Immediate taxes, lifetime taxes. What kind of income can this provide? Can I retire right now? Like right now? Let's talk about it. All right, grab your favorite mug. It's time for coffee with your retirement coach. Welcome back to Coffee with Your Retirement Coach. I'm Aaron, and with me is Nick.
Hey, bud.
That retirement coach behind the clipboard today. He's looking at a great moment and strategizing out some great opportunities.
Hey, let's go.
This is a really big deal.
Yeah. Oh, it's huge.
It's a big deal because a lot of people don't see this ever materializing for them. And for the ones that do, it's a significant windfall.
Oh, 100%. For most people who go through this will be the biggest economic event in their life. Yeah. Bigger than buying a house, bigger, than maybe anything but raising children. It's huge. It's huge. And I really want to get into this today because if this is you, the chances are you might be caught off guard. Yeah. You might be a little surprised. Yeah. You might not even know if you still have a job or not.
Oh, 100%.
Because you don't own the company. Yeah. If you're not on the executive board, what you had was company stock. They've decided to sell. You're getting cashed out. And congratulations, you have $5 million.
Well, and to speak about that directly, Nick, what we see is in that range, typically anywhere from $2 to as much as $10 million is what we see.
Yeah. Well, a lot of tech companies have cashed out over the years. We've seen natural food companies, cash out, and they've merged into companies like Coca-Cola and or PepsiCo, et cetera.
Right.
And so we've seen this play out. We've seen this again with companies being rolled up into Meta. So this is not uncommon to see somebody that had stock, and next thing you know, you've got $2 to $10 million, and you want to know like what next. Now we're using an example today of $5 million, so we can do some easy math, right? To actually walk out what this actually looks like. But at the end of the day, here's what I want us to keep in mind. We're facing this huge financial event.
Yeah.
We don't have our arms around what the tax picture looks like.
100%. That is the first place where anybody, before people start spending the money, some people forego this completely and they get ready to spend the money and they never come back to it. But for those prudent, coachable listeners like what we're talking to here, they want to know what's Uncle Sam's cut.
So let's start there. Yes. Let's start with tax. And so here's the deal. Depending on how the stock was structured, it's very likely you're going to have a capital gain between 15 and 20%.
Yeah.
That's today's rate.
Sure.
Probably closer to that 20% if you've got $5 million coming your way. And as long as you've held it for longer than 1 year, likely going to be a 20% gain.
Long term.
Now, there are folks that had different types of stock, and I'll give you an example. Like one of the big ones I see, you're granted like a RSU as an example, okay? And so there are types of stock that when they are cashed out, they're ordinary income taxed. Right. So they're taxed at your highest rates, not the more favorable capital gains rates. So we need to get our arms around, if this is you today, what kind of stock do you have? And then is it going to be capital gains tax treatment or ordinary income tax treatment, okay? Right. And then third, will we hit that 3.8% NIIT tax, and what about state taxes?
Yeah.
So taxes have to be factored in, and Aaron, running through real life examples with clients that have been through this, it would not be uncommon for somebody to go from $5 million gross to anywhere from $3.5 to $3.8 million net after all the taxes are taken.
Yeah. So take a breath, get with the CPA, figure out the tax picture. That doesn't happen in a day or two. You've got to contact your trusted professionals, get into the office, and then kind of run through some things. So it might take a minute for the clarity of the tax picture to come into focus. And then before we start paying those things out, some time may pass. So let's talk about what you should be doing and what you should not be doing from, hey, here's what's happening, to clear tax picture.
Yeah, well, and unfortunately, I have seen this play out too, and had actually a colleague in our industry who really saw this play out with closer to that $10 million number.
Yeah.
And so just to pick on that for a second, the employee, they got cashed out of their stock, so the business sold.
Yeah.
They received $10 million. Now, it was a little north of that, but round numbers, $10 million. That $10 million deposited directly into their bank account.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Unfortunately, one of the first things they did is they went and bought their dream vacation home. Okay. Now, that doesn't sound like a bad thing, right?
Right.
But unfortunately, it played out that way because that $10 million, based on the extremely high tax state that they were in, plus federal income taxes, they were at roughly 40 to 45% of the total amount that had to go to taxes. Okay, without any tax planning.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they didn't have the money for the taxes. It all went into the dream home. They paid off their home, then paid off the dream home. And now they're in a scramble at tax time because they didn't even think about this.
Right.
Okay. So April 15th approaching, they've got this mammoth multi-million-dollar tax bill, and they're looking at things like home equity lines of credit, all these different things. Are they going to have to sell their home just to pay the tax bill? So here's the word of caution.
Yep.
If this is you, understand what you owe before you spend.
Right.
That's the takeaway. Understand what you owe before you spend.
Yeah.
And I promise you, if you've got that full, clear picture, it will be so freeing to go do the things you want to do. Now, be it you spend on something like that dream vacation home, or are you structuring that to give you that retirement income that you really would love to have?
Right. And while we're waiting, that money should be parked somewhere, not acting as a lazy dollar, but very liquid.
Yeah. Liquidity is your friend.
Yeah.
And there are some really wonderful people out there trying to sell people things like annuities and all these things, talking about the tax benefits, etc. Word of caution, measure twice, cut once. It's the carpenter's rule. Live by that rule.
Yeah.
Liquidity is your friend until you really understand what that tax bill is and how much you get to keep of that and what's Uncle Sam's share. Now, we're going to talk about ways to cut Uncle Sam's share later that are completely legal. So our audience, I'm going to say what it might look like you owe. Maybe you owe a little bit less. We'll get there in a second. But bottom line, we like high-yielding money market accounts, liquid, safe. We can get it when we really need it.
Yes. So in other words, depending on the length of term, a CD might not be an appropriate place to put money, at least until you know the amounts that you need for here, now, and later. All right, Nick, let's talk about the important thing, because again, this is what people want to know when the retirement part is coming into the picture. How much income could be generated from this person that has reached out to us on $5 million? So we're not considering the 401k if there is one. We're not considering pensions if they're there, not necessarily considering Social Security benefits, but just specifically the $5 million that we know is an after tax in this scenario once we've taken care of it scenario.
I think, people oftentimes you receive, this really nice kitty of money. How much can you spend out of that? Like, what would be something that would be prudent, appropriate, and it would last your whole lifetime? So at 4% on $5 million, that's $200,000 a year of income pre-tax. Doesn't count Social Security, pension, or anything else.
100%.
Rental income, etc.
Yep.
So you've got $200,000 pre-tax. Now, after taxes, this comes back, Aaron, like what kind of investments are we using? Okay. Are we dealing with ordinary income taxes, or are we dealing with capital gains taxes? Do we have ordinary dividends? Do we have ordinary interest, qualified dividend? Like, what is the makeup of the portfolio? That's going to factor in how much you keep. So $200,000 generated doesn't mean that's how much you keep. So on something like $400,000, you may, depending on your strategy, maybe you have $150,000 to $160,000 that is net, and you get to keep it.
Mm-hmm. That's and that's where you have to take that next step of, am I living the lifestyle that I want to live within the constraints of that budget.
Aaron, I mean, it would be realistic for us to have somewhere between $150,000 to $200,000 that we're going to get to keep for our retirement income. We do like the 4% rule. We think it's academically sound. That is good planning.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's not going to work perfect, but you need to understand your plan and then follow your plan, work your plan.
Yeah. For most people, this is going to potentially change how they would fall on like a tax matrix table, right? Previously leading up to this, there might have, the majority of their assets might have been the equity in their home, a 401k, something like this. This type of windfall would definitely push the need for an increased strategic tax plan.
Yes. Well, and Aaron, even with the new tax law in place, I'm going to say that one of the tools in the tool belt that I think is going to be used more and more frequently because it's just so favorable, it's got so many great bells and whistles, so to speak, is the CRT, the Charitable Remainder Trust.
Yeah.
Lots of versions of this, by the way.
Yes.
Charitable Remainder Unit Trust, Charitable Remainder Annuity Trust, NIMCRATs. Like, you've got all kinds of little flexibilities and options around it. But the thing is, if you've got any kind of charitable intent over your lifetime, you want something that resembles like a pension or a steady paycheck. Like you are taking, this nice windfall you have, and you want to create a paycheck that comes in on the 15th and 30th every month.
Yeah.
Okay, as an example.
Yeah.
Then what we could do is have the structure of a CRT where you get a big tax benefit in that first year. And if it's too big, it could even cover multiple years of tax benefits.
Yeah.
And what that does, Aaron, is that helps offset the taxes from when you're cashed out of that stock.
Yeah.
Now, you need to work with professionals to help you coordinate this. A tax professional, a financial professional can really help you understand the math. But if at the end of the day you used a CRT, you got big tax benefits up front that allowed for you to keep more of your own money.
Oh, man.
Okay. And it gave you a great income, which could be for the rest of your life. And by the way, that income could grow over your life to keep up with taxes and inflation. And at the end, the charitable causes you care about, they win. They're blessed after you use the money that you're going to use. Now, there's rules and there's all kinds of things you need to know. But at the end of the day, don't overlook a CRT if this is you.
Nic, you lost some people at the vegetable soup that is also alphabet soup. And you had some people thinking you were speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
Sounds like we need a coach.
Yeah. And real life is you want things to be sophisticated enough to work well, but easy enough to understand.
Yes.
The reality is some of the tools are not as simple as a hammer or a screwdriver. Some of them really do take a skilled craftsman to understand how to use that tool.
Yeah.
And so hiring a professional, like for me, I can absolutely, screw the screws into my deck, right? I can hang a picture, but don't ask my wife because she'll say it took him 3 months to hang that picture. All right. But, I can do some of those things. But you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to remodel my bathroom because I'm not someone who understands how to, put together the tiles and the grout and build cabinetry. And like, could I maybe watch a lot of YouTube and figure it out? Probably.
Yeah.
But with, if I am putting in $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 into that, that bathroom, I'm probably going to hire professionals. So surround yourself with professionals. And this is an area you want to nickel and dime.
Yeah. Well, and we could also use those professionals. And the next thing I want to talk to you about is how do we strategically change our investments after the sale? Nic, we have literally met people that their total picture before was a target dated fund, ultra short-term bonds, and company stock.
Yeah.
And we could pretty much cover their entire investment picture that quickly and effectively. And now the picture is probably going to need to get a little bit more complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, everybody has their own goals, their own objectives, their own tax rates. So this needs to be dynamic and it needs to be personalized.
Yeah.
I mean, because everybody's going to be somewhat different. Now, the tax code applies to everybody. Your understanding of how to apply the tax code is different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do is really look at, how much do we want to structure towards what I like to think about is now later, and future money.
Yeah.
Okay. Having a kitty of money that is for right now. Who cares what happens with the tariff talk and what goes on right now with Ukraine and Russia and what goes on with the Southeastern Asia issues that are happening right now, like the Middle East, all these. The world's in chaos. But, we've been in chaos before. We'll be in chaos again.
Yeah.
We have to have a plan that works no matter what the chaos is, okay? So having a portfolio that's designed that we can sleep at night, we've got peace of mind, and we can get some type of dependable, predictable income each and every month. That's what we're after. So that's a now portfolio, Aaron. Yeah. And then we move into a later portfolio. We've got to have some money that grows beyond just what short-term maturity type assets would have, or money markets, etc. And I won't go into all the specifics, but beyond the safe money, we need something that's going to be more of a moderate type of a portfolio. And what its objective is over the 5 to 7 year period of time, 5, 8, 9 year period of time, we want to try to continue to grow that so we can always refill the distribution portfolio, the now portfolio, as we get older. And then lastly, we've got the future portfolio. Grow, baby, grow. We want to grow those assets and let them cook. Let them go through the trials and the tribulations, because at the end of the day, we know that the market's going to go up and down, but to this date, I don't know of a period of time, because there hasn't been one, where the market's gone down and not fully recovered to higher highs in the future. Now, the question is, when does that happen?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We know it has.
Yeah.
So having a smart strategy that takes care of 3 to 5 years of distributions, that has a moderate period of time, and then a portfolio that really grows for future healthcare needs, taxes, and inflation, that's a well thought out portfolio.
And I want to frame this accordingly, Nic. That kind of diversification beyond the stock that we were forced to sell is not a bad thing. No, like I felt like when we came into this, like we didn't really paint it one way or the other. This can actually be a really good thing.
Oh, absolutely. Because now we're diversifying away from just single company risk.
Yeah.
Because if the majority of our assets were tied to one company, and you've got one executive who makes one bad decision, who does one bad thing, man, that could really kill the value of your company stock, right? So that's an example. Or maybe the industry dries up, or maybe AI takes over, whatever it is, right?
Right.
But now, instead of just being, out there in one industry, one company, one sector, et cetera, now we diversify into multiple sectors through indexes, different asset allocation that we could have across the broad markets. So we really could help a portfolio be safer in that context with diversification, but also smarter, in my opinion, because we can really intentionally have that distribution focus and that growth focus part of the portfolio, instead of when it's at the company, it's all one thing.
Yeah. A personalized opportunity to consider things like risk, inflation, and future income needs.
Yes.
Let's talk about if we all of a sudden end up in a situation like this. Oftentimes we see people who lived prudently before who continue to live maybe a prudent plus lifestyle.
Yeah.
There are those that they go and they buy the vacation home. They start spending at a level higher than what they realize that they actually have. But then we see the opposite side of the dynamic as well. And there's the opportunity in that to do planning for legacy. Could you touch on that for a minute?
Yeah. One thing as a Christian, I definitely believe that a good man leaves an inheritance for their children and their children's children. And so I do believe in smart, very intentional estate planning. But, I had a former business partner and mentor share with me a question that it's always stuck with me. I mean, for about 20 years, this question stuck with me. And he said, Nic, how much money can you leave someone and not cause them harm?
That's important.
Right. And I've worked with enough trust fund babies to know that I wouldn't want to create those myself. Mm-hmm. Right. So as much as we might educate our kids, spend time with them to make smart money decisions, at the end of the day, you also can't control who their spouse is, what their background is with money or anything else.
Right.
So we want to be smart about how we structure the legacy through wills, trust, making sure powers of attorney and healthcare directives are in place. So we've really got an estate plan that it's going to help us while we're alive.
Yeah.
It's going to help us when we're potentially incapacitated. And it's going to help us pass on to the next generation by keeping Uncle Sam at bay.
Yeah.
We don't want him to be our biggest beneficiary. And two, we can very intentionally leave money to our next generation and it be a help and not a hurt. We don't want that to harm them. We want to enhance their life and not be their life. So smart legacy and estate planning is critical if this is you. And then lastly, you think about income taxes, you think about estate taxes, you think about gift taxes, tax. Smart people who hire professionals, they really don't pay taxes the way that the middle class often has,
right?
Because they just didn't know the rules.
Right.
So let's learn the rules, surround ourselves with the professionals that know the rules, so you guys aren't slaves to more tax.
Yeah. Well, and Nick, if you previously weren't in a place where you saw the exposure, the estate tax considerations would be where you are pushing yourself now. You might be, sometimes we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
If you are inheriting, or not inheriting, if you're receiving $5 million like this person here, or like we've talked about, as much as $10 million, you need to know the potential consequences of the size of your estate in this new realm. It's not okay anymore to just say, oh, it'll probably be fine.
Right. And I don't mean to offend. I really don't. But ignorance is not a plan.
No.
Staying blind and hoping it works out. Hope is not a plan.
Yeah.
I'm scared that I'm going to not surround myself with the right people. Fear is not a plan.
Yeah.
Okay. And, I would say stop, pray about it, get peace of mind. And there's nothing wrong with interviewing 2, 3, 4 different people to get several opinions, and then get peace of mind about the direction you're going to go and the people you're going to work with. I think that is about as sound of advice as I could give somebody.
Yeah. Nick, you've got a real life example that I think a lot of people are going to connect with. This has happened over and over again with these samples that have come in. Incredible how she was honored with the stock, part of the cash out deal. Walk us through her scenario. Again, I'd love for people to continue to see themselves, not just see the math, not just hear the mechanics of it, but see themselves or their neighbors or their family members actually in these stories.
Yeah. So, this is a lady. I'm going to change just enough so no one would be able to identify who this person is, but
she's innocent protector.
But she was cashed out of her company. So the company sold. She had company stock. And she received about $5.3 million gross.
Right.
Okay. And so what we did is we worked with her CPA to really understand what her net was going to look like so that we would understand maybe the most appropriate tools to put in place to help alleviate some of that tax burden. She was charitably inclined, and she was one of those people that wanted that steady, consistent paycheck each and every month.
Yeah.
Okay. So, she is in a point of her life still, raising up, kids at this time, middle school, high school age kids, looking forward to college. She knew her budget numbers, and she is extremely, her and her husband both, generous people.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what we did is we worked and put together a strategy using a combination of donor advised funds so that she could continue her charitable gifting today. So we bunched all of her gifting for the next 5 or 6 years all in one tranche today that she would give out of in the future for the next 5 to 6 years. And then we used a charitable remainder trust to, help make sure there would be a legacy for the organization she cares about at the end. 2, gave her a really nice big tax deduction in that first year. And then 3, it was able to give her a pension over her lifetime. So this guaranteed income each and every month. And the way we designed it was both for her and her husband. So it was like joint life, just like a pension.
Sure.
And so now she's getting big tax benefits.
Yeah.
She's able to be generous to the organization she cares about.
Right.
She's able to maintain the budget to care for her family with a dependable, predictable income that will last both her and her husband's life. Now, here's the really cool thing.
Yeah.
When we tallied it all up and working with the CPA, it was an estimated $500,000 in taxes that we washed away from her tax bill. What could you do with an extra $500,000, right? You could be more generous. You could bless your children more. You could, maybe take the trip. You could do a lot with that, right?
100%.
So this is smart planning in coordinating with her professionals. So I love that story, and I love that family could enjoy that success.
So, Nic, a couple of things, and again, we've compiled a worksheet that if you find yourself in that scenario, that you're a part of a buyout and you want to come in and meet with your trusted professionals, again, if you want to make an appointment with us, this worksheet can help you be prepared for that kind of an encounter. If you want that sheet, you're going to email us at connect@yourretirementcoach.com. But some key takeaways if you're in this moment. Again, know what you owe and protect what you keep. I mean, I don't think I could boil it down any simpler than that.
Man, that's a mic drop. Perfect.
We want to use tools like the Charitable Remainder Trust, the donor advised funds to reduce taxes and create income, right? That's the goal.
If you have generosity in your bones, and that's what your heartstring is, don't overlook those tools.
Absolutely. We're going to coordinate the plan with a strong team. This seems to be a reoccurring broken record thing for us. But again, have the people around you that know the specific thing that you need help with. If it's the documents with the estate plan, if it's the tax plan, if it's the actual filing of the taxes, if it's the actual legalese for the documents, you need the people around you to support what you don't know. Right?
Yep.
And the last thing that I kind of picked up on that I felt like was important was turning this event into a financial foundation that lasts, like realizing that there can be long-term ripples in the water from this. So many times we see people where this is a short moment and they're right back to where they were before or worse in a very short amount of time.
Yeah. No, I love that surmise, Aaron. I love how you kind of planted that as the walkaways. And again, if this is you, congratulations.
Yes.
Really. I mean, This is a big deal. And all we want to do is come alongside people like you and complement you with information so that you're more empowered to make really smart, really intentional decisions that could bless you and hopefully generations of your family.
Hey, again, if this is you, we hope that you took some notes, have some great points to consider to go through. Request that sheet. Have the questions so that you're prepared to have confident conversations about your specific scenario. You can email us at connect@yourretirementcoach.com to get that. If you liked this and you felt like it might benefit someone else that you worked with that also got a windfall, share the episode with them. The information applies to everybody that had that company stock that got sold. Sharing is caring. So again, thank you for being here. We want to encourage you to stay here, stay with us, subscribe to the podcast, and stay coachable. That retirement coach that can turn big opportunities into even bigger moments. No,
Flip them.
I flipped it.
That time.
Flipped it. Sometimes we flip. Welcome back to Coffee with Retirement. Welcome back to Coffee with Your Retirement Coach. I'm Aaron, and behind the retirement coaching clipboard with me today,
Hey,
Nic.
Hey, buddy.
Nic is really great at turning big opportunities into bigger moments.
Kodak moments, buddy.
We hope you enjoyed today's show, but you may have questions for our coaches, and they can be emailed at connect@yourretirementcoach.com. If you know someone that needs to hear this episode, we encourage you to share it. As a reminder, the content of this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as advice. On behalf of our coaches, we want to thank you for listening and for being coachable.
Yeomans Consulting Group, a registered investment advisor YouTube channel based in Marietta, Georgia. We strive to provide comprehensive wealth management services for every stage of the journey. This platform is solely for informational purposes and is not offering advisory services or sales of securities. Investing involves risk and possible loss of principal capital. Comments by viewers or recognitions are no guarantee of future investment outcomes and do not ensure that a viewer will experience a higher level of performance or results. Public comments posted on this site are not selected, amended, deleted, or sorted in any way. If applicable, certain editing of personal, identifiable information and misinformation may be deleted. The opinions expressed herein are as of the date of publication and are subject to revision due to changes in the market or economic conditions and may not necessarily come to pass.